So from Forum, if there was one thing that was striking in MGP, that was the solutions. They are very comprehensive. And sir, in GS4, there is this ethics red book also of Forum. So I think it is good because it has. So firstly, I read all your articles because the notification comes on the mail. And sir, I think those articles are very motivational and they are amazing articles.
Welcome Utkarsh. To our audience, I would like to introduce Utkarsh. Utkarsh has secured 5th rank in the civil services examination and he has been with us for quite some time. So Utkarsh, we are back in the same studio, same place where about 1.5 months back we were having a mock interview. So first is, how are you and how are you feeling?
So first of all, thank you for inviting me here. And so I'm fine, and if I talk about feelings, sir, I think it is a feeling of satisfaction, sir, because I was happy for a few days when the results came, but after the happiness subsided, it is all about being satisfied for being in the list, sir.
Okay, my first question to you is that what were you doing in Haridwar when the results had come? Because when I spoke to you, you said, "Sir, Abhimay, I'm trying to have some peace."
Yes, sir.
That was, I think, just before the exam result as well, and after the result also 2 days later when I think spoke to you. Sir, I'm still in Haridwar. So what were you doing in Haridwar during the result time?
Sir, I'll tell you this. Actually, my Mausa and Mausi live in Haridwar. So, because sir, this was my 3rd attempt. And last 2 times I had appeared for the interview and I couldn't qualify. So, even when last time I couldn't qualify, I was there in a room in ORN and I was crying. And there was nobody to look at. I called my mother and she too was crying on the phone. I was crying here. So that is what happens, sir. In success, everyone is with you, but during failures, you are alone in your room and crying and nobody comes to your rescue apart from your mummy. So this time, sir, I did not actually have the courage to be in that room alone and see the result, and if I couldn't qualify, so again handle all those failures and demotivation all by myself. So I went to Haridwar so that if I do not get selected, at least I should have a shoulder to cry on. That was the main purpose. But so things were meant to be something else for the good. And I actually started my preparation when I came to Delhi in 2018 in June. I came from Haridwar only. So when I went there, sir, I think my circle of UPSC got completed in Haridwar. So sir, after the results came, when the results came, my phone was still switched off, even when I knew that I was, I had secured 5th rank. So I went with my friend to Ganga Maya and took 21 holy dips. And that the Chakravyuh is finally broken.
Right. So Utkarsh, can you briefly tell me about your educational background, your family background, where you're coming from, where you've studied, who else is there in your family?
Sir, I have my mother, my father and my younger sibling. And sir, my educational background is, sir, since my father is in a transferable job in the private sector, so I had stayed in different states, starting from Gujarat, UP, Maharashtra, MP. Then I went to Vellore, VIT for my mechanical engineering, which I completed in 2018. And so after that, 2018, right after my graduation, I came to Delhi for my preparation because this was clear that I wanted to do this. So I did not even sit for the placements. So I came here in 2018 and then I slogged for 4 years and then finally it culminated in this result.
Earlier we used to say, as in even with your times, that one should pass out of graduation and then start preparing. Increasingly, we are seeing that some of the students who are coming to us also now, they have been preparing from 2nd and 3rd year onwards, and I'm sure that among your batchmates you will find such students. So what is your take on this with the benefit of hindsight, given that you started preparation after your graduation, right? So with this benefit of hindsight, do you think one should prepare or get oriented towards the exam in the 2nd year or 3rd year?
Sir, I would say a full disclosure would be that I somewhat started my preparation in the college days, but that was an informal one because in those times during my 3rd year, 4th year, I used to look at a lot of toppers talks. I went through the UPSC syllabus, those basic building blocks which we could call. I was preparing on them, and to see this strategy of toppers of prelims, mains, interviews. So I was trying to be abreast myself with the examination process during my during the college days, and when I came to Delhi, I started my formal preparation. So sir, I would say it is good to be an early bird, but college is very important. And I was talking to a topper. She's under in top 100, and she said when I was in college, my only focus was to be in the best in college, and she came out with 13 gold medals. So, and then she cleared this examination in the first attempt itself. So even her approach is very fine, that you put yourself 100% wherever and whatever you are doing. So even in college, if you are actually preparing for this examination, that should be only around 10% of your part. Rest 90% should be spending time with your friends and doing actually what is required in college, because those are the best days, and if you sacrifice them for an examination, you will regret it later.
With respect to the preliminary examination, what sources did you refer to, and what was your broader strategy for the prelims? I mean, it was your third attempt, so you wrote 2 mains, I guess, right?
Sir, I've written 3 mains.
All the 3 mains.
Yes.
So you've been clear. Okay, so as I can see your records, you have been with us for almost every attempt, but still
yes,
I would like to hear from the horse's mouth. What was your strategy?
So for prelims, the main strategy was to write as many number of tests as possible, because it is an objective test, and not just in prelims but in UPSC, I believe your knowledge is not being tested. So when you solve a lot of questions, there will come a time when you will look at an option, you will get a hint that this option is not right. That will be an intuition, and that intuition will be most of the times correct, because that intuition is coming from a lot of rigorous practice. So when we talk about sources, sir, my sources were not too many, sir. The NCRTs are the basic blocks for the prelims, and some like Spectrum or Lakshmikant. I think that is that. Rest, I used to join, say if I joined Forum and another coaching for the test series, and both the tests combined, they were around 70 tests. So sir, I think 70 tests is 7,000 questions, plus you solve the previous year questions as well. So by the time you are writing the prelims examination, you have solved 10,000 questions. So I think after solving 10,000 questions, you are particularly at a comfortable level, and in the examination also you are not too much stressed, and when you read those questions in the examination, you will not be too much off balance, because you have already have an experience of 10,000 questions with you. So sir, I think more and more number of practice is because sir, in my first attempt I solved around 70 tests for prelims. In my second attempt I solved around 97 tests. Third attempt I solved around 66 tests. So it is, if there is one single factor for prelims, it is solving more number of tests.
When you said I can see from your records that you actually enrolled for the test series as opposed to getting the test papers from the market. Now generally for the first attempt, people generally enroll for a test series in the second, and these days second and third test series, they generally get it from the market. So what was your motive for subscribing for the test series? One is as you said is that practice, but did you also expect questions from test series to appear in the final exam, and did it happen to some extent, or it did not?
Sir, they might have happened, because I cannot recall exact if the direct questions don't come, the test series help you with the options of the questions. So you will find some of the questions or the options where you would have already attempted those kind of questions in your test series. So my only motive to join a test series formally was to get a good analysis of my performance, because if I'm buying it from the market, I can only calculate my score, nothing else. But how will I know where I'm standing, what is my rank? So, and in which part I'm doing more, which part I'm doing good, or which part I'm doing bad, where I need to improve. That kind of analysis, the post-test analysis that we get from any test series, I think that is more beneficial for improvement, sir.
So there are students who also solve, hearing you that they'll end up solving 70, 80, even 100 test papers. What do you think is one mistake that they are making? And let's say they're getting something around 60 or 70 marks, whereas you have been clearing this exam all the years. So what do you think is a mistake that they would be making, or something that you ensured that you did not make despite solving large number of papers?
Sir, I would say solving is one part of the preparation, and analyzing is the other. So I think they might be missing on some of the analysis part. Now when I talk about analysis part, it is about various things. Like firstly, even if the questions which you have got the correct answers, do read their solutions, because you will get 1 or 2 additional points from those solutions. Secondly, there are questions in which you have got wrong. Now what you will have to do is, there are 2 things here as well. Firstly, it is good to search about all the options that are in the questions. you might know one or two options and you've got them right, but you might not be aware of the other two options. So you should read about them as well. And secondly, I think you should try the reverse engineering process. Suppose there is a question and its answer is A and you have marked it B. Now you have to apply your mind why the answer is A and why B, C, D are wrong options. You have to read those options very carefully and on why they are wrong, why A is right. So I think that approach helps a lot.
Students often come to us and say that, sir, we have an accuracy problem. Sometimes these students may not have read the basic book and they'll be attempting the question, and sometimes often confuse knowledge problem with accuracy problem. So we as mentors suggest that you go for the number of revisions. How many times did you revise the standard books?
Sir, it is 2 to 3 times because my revision was last 20 days or 30 days before the examination. So in 30 days, 10 days I used to, if we allot, so 2 to 3 revisions was, I think it was more than enough for me, sir, because that was the approach in engineering days as well, so it helps.
In the prelims examination, how many questions do you think should be attempted?
Sir, I used to attempt a lot of questions, and I had friends who used to attempt around say 80 or 85 questions, and I pushed them to attempt more number of questions. So sir, in my first attempt I attempted 91 questions, in second attempt I attempted 94 questions, and this time I attempted 98 questions in 2021. Because sir, when the paper becomes so dynamic and so unpredictable, sir, I think less number of questions will not take your ship too far.
And what is your strategy when you are left with just 2 options and you are unable to eliminate any further?
So with 2 options, I think go with the intuition, because there will always be an intuition.
Increasingly, we are seeing that CSAT is also becoming a bottleneck for students. So what was your strategy for preparation of CSAT? Did you ever feel this war CSAT will be a trouble, or did you prepare? How did you deal with CSAT paper?
Sir, I think I completely agree that CSAT is now eliminating many deserving students. So even this year, sir, my CSAT score was 86 in 2021. Even though last 2 years I was scoring 112 and 117. But now the CSAT is getting very tough. So sir, what I used to do was I used to solve the last 2 years CSAT papers. But I think even this is not helping now. So CSAT started from 2013 and now it's been around 9 years. So I think it is better, the people who are finding it difficult for the CSAT, they may join a program, if they like. And secondly, what they can do is they should solve all the questions from 2013 to up till now 2021. And I think now what happens is there are some kind of questions in logical reasoning or in maths which require some kind of tricks. There are some tricks to solve questions so that you avoid the long calculation. So if you could get hold of those kind of tricks and you can make notes out of them, so you can apply those tricks in the examination and save your time.
Towards the end, did you go for mock papers practice for CSAT also, or did you just go for PYQs?
Sir, I only went for PYQs.
And with respect to the CSAT paper, the English comprehension, increasingly we are seeing that English comprehension papers questions have been difficult. Even if they have not been difficult, the key provided by the commission is sometimes in conflict with what even a PhD candidate for the English literature may answer. So did you rely on the reading comprehension? Did you rely on the quantitative aptitude? What was your take?
Sir, I relied on English.
You did
because yes sir, I have a habit of reading a lot of books. So I thought I was somewhat comfortable with the language. So I used to attempt all the comprehension because as I mentioned, sir, I believe in attempting more number of questions. Now you cannot attempt more questions if you are relying on maths and cons. You will need English for that because it takes less time. So I used to first attempt all the English questions, and then I used to attempt some of the cons and the logical reasoning and the maths question. But sir, it is a two-way sword because it is so unpredictable that even I used to get a lot of questions wrong. But I think that is the advantage of attempting more number of questions.
So just 1 month before the prelims examination, how did your day used to look like?
So it used to look like I used to solve tests and I used to revise those tests. So the morning and the afternoon is gone in giving those tests and revising those tests. And in the evening it was about revision. And in the last 1 week, I would suggest in the 3-4 days, people should solve the previous year UPSC questions, last 5 years. Paper they should solve, suppose 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, the 5 years. So what happens is that it will orient you towards the kind of questions UPSC asks and the kind of options it provides, and you will be in that frame of mindset before the actual examination. So I think, sir, this exercise, because even though you know all the answers, but that does not matter. What matters is your brain is getting oriented to those type of questions and those type of answers. So and options. So I think that is a very beneficial exercise for everyone to do.
So when I asked you how did your day look like, what was the time you woke up? We want to know the details. Like what time did you wake up? What time did you sleep? What time did you study?
Sir, say waking up around. Sir, I think one should not compromise on sleep, but it does happen. And in the last few days, the stress is so high that you are not able to get say 5 or 6 hours of sleep. So in the first attempt, sir, I remember I was so stressed that I did not sleep the whole night for the prelims. So that happens, but sir, I think say after getting an 8 hours of sleep, you might wake up around 9 or 10. Then you'll take a test for 2 hours. Then there will be a lunch time, and after your lunch, you can give the 2 to 3 hours to analyze those tests. And then in the evening, you should take a break. Even though you have prelims next day, I think you should take a break in the evening. So in ORN, you roam here and there, you have a cup of tea, you talk to a lot of friends. That gives a good amount of refreshment. And after you come back, I think you should start revising. Take up Spectrum or take up Lakshmikant. And so what I used to do was I used to use a lot of sticky notes. So whatever we have the facts of the matter, I used to write those on the sticky notes, and I used to just paste them on the walls, on my cupboards and everything. And in the last 1 or 2 days, I will leave everything and I will only stare at my walls and at my cupboards, and I will try to learn all those facts as much as possible.
Coming to another section is note making. So how did you make notes? Digital notes or paper notes?
So in my first attempt, I made paper-based notes. After my first mains, I bought an iPad, and then I gradually started to move towards the digital notes on the Evernote. And so in the hindsight, I think digital notes are better than the physical notes because the examination is so dynamic that you will not be able to keep pace with the examination in paper and pen based notes. You will need technology. And so I think even the government needs technology friendly bureaucrats. So sir, I think it is better to be abreast with new technology and embrace the digital revolution that is going on.
So when you used an iPad, you used a pencil and then you used to use it handwritten notes or typed notes? What sort of?
Sir, I bought a keypad with the iPad, so I don't have an Apple Pencil. So I used to, I made it as my laptop, and I used to type all the notes, and or say you click a photo and then you upload it, or you might type some of the stuff that is important. So, but in the hindsight, sir, I think digital notes are way better.
Any hacks in particular you remember for organizing your notes in Evernote? Any particular hacks or methods particularly that you discovered or you use for organizing your notes? Like was it like GS1 whole notebook, GS2 whole notebook, or for every topic you had a separate note? How was it like?
Sir, it is like I have a notebook. So there is a concept of stacking in Evernote. So you stack a lot of notebooks there. So what happens is, suppose GS1 has different subjects. Those different subjects have different topics. So what you can do is, suppose there is a topic in GS3, you make a note of in economics. So in economics there will be 9 or 10 notes, and then in GS3 there will be 7 or 8 topics: economics, agriculture, and internal security. So what you can do, you make a note and then you put it in a notebook. Suppose the notebook is economy, and then you do it for different subjects. So you will have one notebook of economy, one notebook of agriculture, one notebook of internal security, and then you stack all the notebooks and you stack them in GS3. So you click on GS3, there will be different subjects. Then you click on economy, there will be different topics. Then you click on those topics, and then you can suppose like we talk about Supreme Court judgments. Now Supreme Court judgments are needed in polity as well, and in my optional as well. So you can duplicate those notes in your optional and in your GS. So sir, I think that helps a lot.
Coming to newspaper, all the aspirants struggle to read the newspaper. So I have two questions for you. A, which newspaper you read? And secondly, how was your tryst and struggles with the newspaper?
Sir, I would say it has never been a struggle. For me, sir, reading newspapers was an addiction. I wanted a newspaper in the morning, even when I was in college. So I think I used to read, sir, 3 newspapers. Hindu, I used to read the whole. And then in Indian Express, I used to read the editorials and the explained page. And in the Mint, I used to read the Mint primer and the long story and the editorials. So this would take around say 2 hours. But I think once you are with, you read 3 newspapers and you cover a lot of topics, you get a good amount of understanding. And so that understanding helps in mains and the interview, because you cannot learn everything, and whatever you learn, it is hardly possible that you will remember in the pressure of the examination. So, but the things that you have ingrained, that you have understood, are with you. If someone wakes you up in the middle of the night and asks you about something, and you have read it in the newspapers and understood it through editorials, you can explain him. So sir, I would say if people are struggling with newspapers, they should at least read one newspaper, because there is no escaping from the fact, UPSC or no UPSC, read newspapers to be an informed citizen at least.
So did you go for the hard copy or did you go for the e-papers?
Sir, initially I used to go for the hard copy, but after the COVID and all, sir, I switched to e-papers.
Okay, and did your iPad transformation also accelerate that switching?
Yes sir, absolutely.
So you went for the e-paper or did you use the web version of it, websites?
Sir, I went for the e-paper.
E-paper of all the 3 newspapers.
Yes.
So you got all the 3 subscriptions?
Sir, some I bought and some I got from the...
Managed, okay.
Yes.
Now coming to your preparation for the mains examination, what is the difference in preparation for approach for prelims and what is the difference in the mains examination?
Sir, I think there is a lot of difference. There is a world of difference in prelims and mains. And even when I was in the class, someone was asking that do we have to make separate notes for the prelims and mains? And I said yes. Because suppose there is a topic, say governor. So the type of questions that will be asked in prelims and the mains will be different. So your approach and your material for both will be different. Now you don't need Supreme Court judgments in your prelims, but you will need it for your mains. You do not need committees for prelims, but you will need it for your mains. So you should have those segregated notes. So sir, I think if one main commonality between prelims and mains based on the approach is that solving a lot of tests. I solved a lot of tests for my mains as well, because to learn the how to complete the paper or how to manage the unexpected questions. So that is something that is common between pre and mains. But after that, sir, I think your approach should be differentiated. So sir, this is something, a term that I use is integrate yet differentiate. This should be the approach, sir.
So if you see world history and post-independence history, we do not have questions majorly coming from them. So did you cover them or did you let it go?
Sir, I covered them. You can never trust whenever at what time UPSC can throw a googly on you.
2 more important sections from paper 1, society and geography. What was your approach for it?
Sir, I had my core notes of geography and society that I did from a coaching. So, but for geography, sir, my main source was the NCERT and my notes for prelims, because it is more of fact-based subject, geography and history. So it should be your art to use those facts and wrap them in an answer to make it in a presentable manner. And secondly, for society, sir, I think the notes from the coaching and from the newspapers and from the say the current affair magazines, sir, I think would suffice for society as well.
And I guess even the test papers that you...
Test papers, sir, absolutely. Tests are the key to this examination, sir.
So coming to general studies paper 2, we have polity, governance and development issues. Is Lakshmikant and was Lakshmikant sufficient for you for the mains examination also?
Sir, I think it is. For the static questions it is. Because here again you will need facts. Because when you are writing a polity answer, you will have to mention some of the constitutional articles, some of the judgments, some of the committee commission names, and the rest part is about analysis and about the current affairs. So you get some amount of analysis from the Lakshmikant when you read it, and the current affairs part you get from the newspapers. So I think all of it bundled together in an answer provides you good marks in GS2.
International relations, what was your approach for it?
So my optional is PSIR, so I did not have a differentiated approach for my GS. But sir, I made sure that I do not look like a student of PSIR in my GS papers.
How did you find the difficulty level of the exam? Not from hindsight, but during the journey. Did you find the exam very difficult, very excruciatingly, very painful? What was it like?
Sir, this is something I say to everyone, that the process of studying is not difficult. There is nothing in this examination that is very difficult to study. There is no such subject. But the process of examination is very difficult. It will put you under pressure for a year, and in prelims you will be under pressure for a day. In mains you will be under pressure for 9 days. The amount of pressure in interview is tremendous when you are sitting outside the boardroom and your name is to be called out. So I think handling those pressure, living in a 10 foot by 10 foot room in ORN, and there are a lot of issues in ORN as well. Everybody knows that, I don't have to list them out. So with those issues, the quality of food that you get, and you are you stay away from your family. You scroll the social media, and then you see your friends partying and spending vacations, and then you look back in life, what am I doing? So I think that is more difficult than the process of studying, sir. I think studying is not difficult in this examination. There is no such subject that is very difficult. I do not think.
General studies paper 3, we have economy, internal security, science and technology, disaster management, all thrust into one paper. Complete hodgepodge. and all of the prelim syllabus, large parts of it. So how did you deal with this paper?
Sir, I think this paper requires a lot of preparation. But even after that, sir, in UPSC, we are seeing that GS3 people are not scoring good marks. I scored 85, 85 and 92 in my all 3 attempts. And this is something that is happening with a lot of people. So, sir, it is advisable to, be abreast with the current affairs, what is going on, because GS3 is very, very dynamic. And sir, you have to cover the notes topic wise and solve the previous year questions. And even after putting tremendous amount of effort, GS3 is not paying off as it should be. But sir, you can never know in UPSC in which year it may allot a lot of marks in GS3, as it did in 2019 in GS4. So you cannot leave anything to chance in UPSC, not anything.
Coming to General Studies Paper 4, we have a theoretical aspect and we have case studies. How did you approach it?
Sir, for GS4, I think you need some amount of good content as well to write in the examination, and then GS4 requires a different kind of writing. So sir, I referred last year Divya Mishra ma'am scored 129 GS4, so I referred her copies, and sir, I saw how she used to explain every point with an example. So I tried to do that not just in GS4 but in almost all the papers. I tried to substantiate my points with examples. And sir, in GS4 there is this ethics red book also of Forum. So I think it is good because it has explained the concepts in a simple manner, and it has a lot of examples to use. So sir, I think GS4 is using more number of examples. And so GS4 there is a trend of people to write a lot of technical words to to make their answers beautiful, but it does not help. And I wrote in a very simple manner, and I scored around 117 this time in GS4. So sir, I would suggest you have to make your answers look as simple as possible in GS4. If there is a concept, honesty, integrity, these are the concepts that are relevant in your daily life and that test your personality. If you are explaining them in difficult terms, that means you neither possess that quality, nor do you understand that quality, nor are you able to express it to the examiner. Because if you understand what that quality is about, you will write it in simple terms and you will give an example. See, this is what honesty means. So sir, I think that is more beneficial approach in GS4.
Coming to mains answer writing, you have been a part of mains guidance program for both the years, in fact all the years. So what are the elements of mains answer writing you picked up from Forum, or anything that you learned from Forum?
Sir, from Forum, if there was one thing that was striking in MGP, that was the solutions. They are very comprehensive in Forum. So I think when you read the solutions, you get a lot of points, because sir, as I said, that you do not need to read a lot of books. So when you are solving a lot of tests, you will already get a lot of points to enrich your answers. So I think that was particularly striking in Forum, sir. Whether it be, because in essay, if you join other test series, they do not provide you with sample essays, but I think Forum does that. So I think that also is very helpful, very, very beneficial.
So students often come to ask us, as now you are out of the cycle, but this year students are appearing for the mains examination. So they are asking us, what should we do more, answer writing practice or note making? What is your take on it?
So the time for note making is over now. You have to write answers with whatever limited knowledge you have.
So there is a good diversity of views. Last year I was interviewing rank 5 of last year, and she said that, sir, if I am giving a tree to cut, I will focus on sharpening my axe. So here, all right. But you would say that you'd go for answer writing more practice of answer writing. Okay, what structure did you follow for writing your answers?
It is the intro, body, conclusion, and I used to put the subheadings in a box, as Anudeep sir used to do. And so I think everyone should read his book before answer writing. I've read his book, I've read his blog, and so his approach of answer writing was meticulous. So sir, a good introduction, having a definition or a current affair or any data, a conclusion that will have DPSPs or SDGs or any government scheme, and the rest part will be subparts, and those subparts should be highlighted in a box so that the examiner knows that you have understood the question has 2 or 3 subparts and you have answered them satisfactorily.
Conclusion is often a very challenging part of answer writing. What did you follow for concluding your answers?
Sir, I used to see there are 3 or 4 options. There are fundamental rights, fundamental duties, DPSP, SDG, and the preamble, which is there at the wall. So I used to write that in the question paper, and then I used to see if there is a question that is fitting in any one of this. If it is fitting, then I will write it. Suppose there is the question of Swachh Bharat, so I will write it in the conclusion that it will help us achieve SDG goal number this and this. So this is or if there is a question on say disadvantage section, so I will write it that this will help us achieve this DPSP number this. So I think that gives an impression that you have the constitution in mind.
In the last 2 or 3 weeks before the examination, as we'll be reaching that stage this year for those who are writing mains 2022, how was your day like? How many hours you were studying?
So I think putting in at least 10 to 12 hours is important in the last few days, because there is a lot to catch up for mains. And secondly, sir, what I used to do was in the last few days revision, and this is something I suggest to everyone, that you should simulate 1 or 2 cycles for mains. I used to do that. One is essay. I think Forum also does that, and other coachings also do that, because that is very beneficial. In mains examination, you are physically and mentally drained out in those days. So it is better that you sweat and practice so that you will bleed less in war. So if you simulate 1 or 2 cycles, say one is essay, another day GS1, GS2, then GS3, GS4, then optional 1, optional 2, I think that will take you far in mains examination.
Coming to the interview or the personality test, we were sitting the second time probably for the personality test. So I remember after the session, because you had come a bit late, so I was maybe scolding you or reprimanding you a bit for it, so the audience can see the video.
तो ये 2 इंटरव्यू दिए हैं, इससे इंटरव्यू से कुछ अपैथी हो गई है क्या आपको?
नहीं सर।
तो अंदर से कुछ रिलक्टेंस है क्या इंटरव्यू को लेकर कि मार्क्स जितना मैं सोचता था उतने नहीं आए हैं, तो एक इरिटेशन हो गया है, कुछ इस तरह से हो गया है, कोई नेगेटिव फीलिंग्स इंटरव्यू को लेकर?
सर नेगेटिव फीलिंग्स तो नहीं बोलूँगा, बट हाँ ये मुझे लगा कि इतने कम भी नहीं देने चाहिए थे जितने दे दिए हैं। मतलब मुझे लग रहा था 175 180 के अराउंड तो मिलने चाहिए थे। 157 वाज टू लो, मतलब इतना भी खराब नहीं हुआ था इंटरव्यू। बट सर आई वुड स्टिल नॉट से कि अपैथी हो गई है, बिकॉज प्रिपेयर तो कर ही रहा हूँ सर। मतलब नोट्स एवरनोट पे अलग अलग टॉपिक वाइज बना रखे हैं, वो फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट से हैं, उनको मैं अपडेट करता हूँ।
उसको बच्चे Q&A फॉर्मेट में करो ना। बच्चे आए हैं यहाँ पर जिन्होंने 200 पन्ने का नोट्स बनाया हुआ है।
यस सर।
अंत में KBC नैनो की बुक निकाल लेंगे वो, लेकिन जब 5 सवाल जो कॉमन क्वेश्चन है वो उस समय सोचकर बताते हैं। एंड व्हाई आई हैव अ प्रॉब्लम इज कि उनके नोट्स में बेटर पॉइंट्स होंगे शायद, लेकिन Q&A फॉर्मेट में नहीं, तो दे हैव नॉट फ्रोजन देयर आंसर्स।
यस सर।
इसको अभी तुम्हारे पास 6-7 दिन का समय है, ब्रॉड कम से कम 20-25 क्वेश्चंस है ना, उसको फ्रीज कर दीजिए उत्कर्ष।
यस सर।
So how was your feelings? I mean, I understand completely that when you appear for the second interview and you have not done quite well, I mean, my perception is that just for example, when we don't clear prelims, it has a bad impact on our psyche. I think equally bad, if not more, interview does the same thing. You don't probably, I see students crestfallen after a not expected performance. So how was your feelings? Did you develop some negativity towards the personality test?
Sir, the personality test is a stage which I have never been able to understand what it is demanding, because I've never been able to score in this examination in the personality test. In the first time I scored 160, then it was 157, and then this time it was 165. When I got to know that I have 5th rank, I was sure that I might be having 200 plus in the interview, else I wouldn't have secured 5th rank. But then when I saw the mark sheet, I saw it is 871 in mains and 165 in the interview. Then I thought, okay, what can I do in this? But sir, I agree with you, because when twice I couldn't qualify this examination when I reached the interview stage, because when you don't qualify after reaching the interview stage, that the disappointment is huge, because you are so close to the finish line, yet you are so far away from the finish line. Because in this examination, even if you have appeared for the interview, you will have to start from square one. So that was something that was imbibing some amount of negativity in me. And so sir, even if this time I wouldn't have qualified this examination, then I think I was starting to enter that stage wherein some amount of negativity did creep in inside me. But I think sir, God has been very kind on me.
I'll give you my perspective. So I was a little pareshan because I think I was unduly harsh that day, but I felt that which becomes very common. So my perception is that you have to be hoping against hope. I mean, when the personality test once or twice, if you have gotten less marks, then we get a lot of concern whether is it the way we walk, the way we look, is that there's something problem with that, or the way I'm answering questions, it's difficult. But I have been able to see students. Last year there was a student just the batch before you, where there was a student who was not scoring well, and his perseverance is something that strikes me, because after not scoring well, he stuck. And honestly, when I would turn on my laptop during the COVID years and I would have attend a Zoom call with students, I would see him there, and his ID on the forum was massive success.
Okay, Jagat Bhaiya.
Yes, Jagat. And I'm marveled by the perseverance of that candidate, and finally he scored well in the interview. Yes. One person who was, hoping against hope, because twice you do not get good marks in interview, you are kind of done mentally. You know that, fine, the interview, let us get over, and then maybe prepare for the next round or whatever it is. But anyway, I think with the 5th rank, everything is gone, all that thing.
Yes, sir, everything is worth it. And sir, even I remember asking you, sir, is my personality worth 160 number? So I remember you said it is not your personality that is 160, it is your performance that is fetching you this marks. So this time I thought I performed somewhat better, and I was expecting around 180, but it's all right. Finally, I have a secured 5th rank. And so even Jagat Bhaiya has been an inspiration, because he scored around 154 in both his interviews, and this time last year he scored 200. Or even Krishan Bhaiya, he scored 209 in interview last year. So these were my mentors, and I was personally in touch with them, because Jagat Bhaiya was my college senior, and I met Krishan Bhaiya here in Uvara. So these two have been very inspiring, because both had cleared this examination in 5th attempt, and they were also guiding me, and I think I owe my success to their guidance as well.
Krishan has been a dedicated student with us. His interview is something that I often ask my students to look up to. The way his calmness and composed nature is there. I just had, I think the last year when he got a rank, I just had probably one call with him, just a 5-minute call. And he is always absolutely a pleasure to talk to.
Yes, sir, absolutely. I met them, sir, they were in Delhi after the Bharat Darshan. So I met Krishan Bhaiya and Jagat Bhaiya. And it was such an experience.
What was the most difficult, coming to interview, what was the most difficult question that the board asked you, if you remember?
So, the questions were pretty much very simple questions. But in my first attempt, there was a member, he asked me, Utkarsh, do you know Donald Trump? So I said, yes, sir. So, Donald Trump. So he said, so what do you think? Is he a Democrat or an autocrat? So I thought for a while, and then I said, sir, I think he's a Republican. So everyone started laughing. Sir, I think that was a very difficult question at that time, because whatever answer I gave or I had given, so he would have countered it very beautifully, and I couldn't have countered it. So, sir, I ended that question on that note. So I think that was a difficult question.
Coming to the end of it, this examination particularly for you was extended to 3 attempts. At Forum, we have a community. I also write articles as Dion, so that we can reach out. Did you ever happen to read any of my articles or any of the articles that we write on Forum? And apart from that, how did you keep yourself motivated?
So firstly, I read all your articles, because the notification comes on the mail. And sir, I think those articles are very motivational, and they are amazing articles, and everyone should read them. And so secondly, how I motivated myself was, as I mentioned, Krishan Bhaiya or Jagat Bhaiya, there were other people as well. Aman Bhaiya also, sir, I think he was also in Forum, Aman Saxena, he was IRS. So, they were constantly guiding me. They were, when I remember last year when I couldn't qualify and the results came. So even Jagat Bhaiya had sent a message to me that, Utkarsh, see, in the position that you are in, I was exactly in that position. And I know how it feels when you are not there after 2 interviews. So, but you will have to hold tight. Or Krishan Bhaiya called me and said, see, Utkarsh, for you it is not a question of if, it is a question of when. And he always used to say, ki first page pe tera naam dekhunga main. But this was something Krishan Bhaiya always used to say. And even when I got a rank this year and I called him, and he said, bhai main bilkul surprised nahi hu, not at all surprised. So if you have such kind of people who have such amount of faith in you, if you have your family, so my mother or my father, they did not lose hope, because sir, in a society like India, when you fail an examination, you and your parents have to listen to a lot of words which are not honey coated for your ears. So, but even after that, when they support you, and my mother used to say कि कितना भी अटेम्प्ट लगे कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, 6 लगे तो तुम 6 दो, कोई परेशानी नहीं है, कोई प्रेशर नहीं है, तुम्हें काम भी नहीं करना, नौकरी भी नहीं करनी, कुछ नहीं करना, तुम बस पढ़ो. So, and your friends, my college mates, even though they are not preparing for this examination, last year when I couldn't qualify, my friend came, he lives in Haridwar, so next day he came to me, and he was with me for the whole day. So when you are blessed with such kind of people, it is not a surprise that you get a 5th rank or a 1st rank.
As silly as it may sound, when we start with our preparation, we start with a certain pen, and then when we go through the prelims, the mains, and finally the interview, all these stages, sometimes we change our pen, especially for the mains examination. Were you able to stay loyal to your one pen all through the attempts, or did you change your pens?
Sir, I was loyal to one pen. That was a Pilot V7 RT. So I used that pen in all the 3 mains, and the pen was also loyal to me because I could qualify all the 3 mains. So this was a two-way relationship, and I think it was a very good pen.
You said you love to read books, and I'll gift you one.
Okay,
so any particular book that you are reading right now, or you have read, and that has left an impact on you?
Right now, sir, actually I read more of non-fictions. And initially I used to read a lot of non-fictions on international relations, because I thought that IFoS was my calling, and I also debate. I used to debate with my parents.
Hang on, what's your first choice this
Sir,
year?
it's IAS.
Thank God, because every time some of our favorite students, when they walk in, and I am very excited that our students are going to get IAS, they said, sir, just hold on for a second, I've opted for Indian Foreign Service. While it's good, but we'd love to have you guys within the country.
Yes, sir. So my parents said, listen, put IAS first. My father said, put IAS first and IFoS second. And based on your rank and your destiny, you will get what you are desired to get. So I said, okay, I'll put IAS. Then I thought I'll get IFoS, because I did not expect I'll get 5th rank. I thought maybe the best case would be 80 rank, 85 rank, 90 rank. So I'll get IFoS, okay, no problem. I'll put IAS first. So, or even when when you put the cadre option in your DAF too. So I had this option of putting MP as a state, because I have been living here for so many years, and a lot of people do that. They live in some else state, and they put that option so that they get the home state as an outsider. But I did not do that. I thought if UP is my home state, I'll put UP as the home state. And why to be dishonest? मतलब मिलने वाला तो वैसे भी नहीं है, छोड़ दो जाने दो, MP मिल जाएगा, कोई और मिल जाएगा, वहाँ चले जाएंगे. But I put UP as my home state, and so I think I'm getting it. So I think it is very important to be true to the process and to yourself.
So we have some visuals of your entry being celebrated in your village. सबसे पहले you tell me, as we are closing this, how was the reception in UP and in your ancestors' place?
Sir, I think it was grand and it was huge. And sir, on the one hand, it makes you feel that what have you achieved in life, and on the other hand, it also makes you feel humble, because I met a lot of people in my village, and there were old people. When you go to them, they are standing with their hands folded, and they garland you. So or they are waiting for you for say 3 hours, 4 hours for your arrival, and even after when you arrive, and they are still with that enthusiasm, they meet you. And so the amount, you think, what have you become? But on the other hand, there's this feeling that whatever you have become for them. When you look at them, sir, when you look at in that eyes, sir, when they are garlanding you with an expectation. So that expectation is that you might do something for them. So I think you should not forget what for the purpose that you are in the service. So, and sir, I was reading this book, and I'm currently reading this book by a retired IAS officer, that Making a Difference IAS as a Career. And he writes this very important thing that when you clear this examination, you will have to take efforts every day to stay humble, because it will very easily get into your head, very easily, because the amount of respect that you receive from people and the amount that the treatment that you receive, it is very easy to forget everything and be on cloud 9 or be on the sky high. So, but you will have to take conscious efforts to realize that this is a service. This is called the Indian Administrative Service. You are here for a seva. आप सेवा करने आए हैं लोगों की, और वो जो लोग आपसे मिल रहे हैं, जो लोग आपको माला पहना रहे हैं, जो लोग आपको इज्जत दे रहे हैं, आपको उनके लिए काम करना है. वही इज्जत आपको उन्हें भी देनी है. So I think this was there in my mind, sir.
So as we close this, some promotional as questions. First is, how did you come to know about Forum IAS?
Sir, I came to know from Aman Bhaiya, sir. At that time, sir, he was IRS, and he happened to my flatmate. So I think this is a token of luck that when I came to Delhi, I came in a flat. I found already an IRS in the flat, and he has been guiding me from day one. So he told me that simulators are good. You should go for simulators for prelims. So from that time, and then when I took the simulators, then the experience was wonderful. And I thought I should also go for mains. Then I went for mains. Then Krishan bhi had told about IGP. Then I went for IGP as well. So this was something that happened in the first attempt. And after first attempt, when you get a satisfactory experience, then you repeat it in your different attempts as well.
Was Forum able to meet all your expectations?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
All right. So will you be recommending it to your friends and juniors?
Yes, sir. I've already given the coupons. So the coupon is a cult. We were yesterday talking. We were at a felicitation, all the toppers, and everyone was talking about Forum coupons. And even today, I received a message from some between rank 20. There's a person. He said, "Kisi ke paas Forum ka coupon hai kya?"
So some of our students are appearing for the mains examination. What are the 2 or 3 things that you would like to say to them?
So firstly, I would say practice a lot of papers. Try to learn to complete the papers. Try to learn to how to handle the unexpected questions. Try to understand the demand of the questions. Write what is asked. I think that is most important. In UPSC, we try to complicate a lot of things by ourselves. UPSC itself is not as much complicated as we make it. So the questions are straightforward and simple. You should write what is asked and what you know. And finally, so I would say for mains, the previous year questions should be your lighthouse, because we see a lot of questions getting repeated in the mains examinations. So for the people who are appearing for mains, I would say solve at least the last 5 years papers, and it is a mountain to climb, so you will not be able to do it alone. So make a peer group of 2 or 3 people, divide amongst, say 4 people, divide amongst yourselves GS 1, 2, 3, 4, and then solve the last 5 years papers pointer wise. So and solve tests. So you will have tests, you will have last year's papers, and you will have your own notes for revision. And once you have understood how to complete the paper, sir, I think you are good to go for the mains.
Thank you so much, Utkarsh, for your time. It was wonderful to have you here.
Thank you for having me, sir.